and says preparing to live stream the meeting. So we might already be broadcasting, and if so, oh, there we are. I would like to say, oh good, the volume is muted. I would like to say welcome to everybody that's joining us live. If you're here or on the replay, I'm Natasha Edwina. I am a mind-body health consultant. We were just talking about this, and this is my co-host, Steph Zito, who is a wellness coach, but really we do a whole bunch of things. And as she was just telling me, she's wears many hats, and so do I, and our relationship is very symbiotic. The things that we do, we first met at VeraVia. We both are still consultants there, working with clients out of the Park Hyatt Aviara, which is a 5-star hotel, and VeraVia is the luxury integrative wellness retreat that is housed in the hotel. So Steph, you teach yoga there, you do meditation. By the way, I talked to some of the guests today. They loved your meditation last night.
Oh, good.
I do some workshops there on mind-body science and mind-body health information. I also do mind-body wellness consults and hypnosis, but really, which is my main form of energy medicine that I use. But Steph, also outside of VeraVia, you're an intuitive soul purpose coach, and you see clients that way, really working a lot more with the intuition, the energy. I see clients outside of there as well, and work on one-on-one, like really relationship stuff, a lot of relationship stuff. I realized yesterday what I love to do is look at the relationship between people and things.
Oh, yes.
Relationships between people, relationships between philosophies, concepts, events, all of that. So that's my holistic purpose too. But today we wanted to get on to talk about energy medicine and microcurrent devices. And I felt like this was, well, first of all, talking about doing a lot of different things. When I took my PhD course in energy medicine, which was right after we went into lockdown, I had to take an elective course because my dissertation committee was not assembled yet for my PhD. And the energy medicine course was available. I was like, yes, I always want to take this class. It blew my mind to learn the science that is not really shared. It's not really out there so much, but to know that's been around forever. It's just kind of like a little suppressed, or people aren't really paying too much attention, but they're starting to now, because technology is like expanding, and we're starting to create, these little devices that used to take up like a whole huge room, or only be for a medical office.
Yeah, a couple of really brief, interesting things about this. Kind of, so if you ever watched the movie Who Killed the Electric Car, there were the big industries, the gas industries, that did not like the electric car because of what it was going to do to their pockets, right? The electric car, yeah. So in a similar vein, this medicine, this technology has been around, well, I mean, really since Nikola Tesla 100 years ago, but really in the 60s. And it was suppressed and it was killed because it's so simple. And yet it takes care of things in the way that you don't need to necessarily be on pills forever. Those things the supplements that we're on, it's a different technology, and people, I think in some industries were feeling the competition from it. And to me, the world is abundant, and I just wanted to give that as a side note.
I mean, that's more than a side note. That's like a main point. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and one more quick thing. I was just watching a video, and right now, synchronistically, I'm leading a book club on Joe Dispenza as Becoming Supernatural.
Of course, because I just listened to him yesterday after I haven't engaged with him at all. Here we are.
Of course. And the thing is I'm reading the book, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Healy. Like, everything he's talking about is literally this technology, this type of device is literally amplifying the same types of science that he's also working with.
Yeah.
So it's very much, like you said, like of the moment to be introducing this into the field.
Yeah, and for anybody watching that hasn't heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza yet, he's actually from our area. We're in Carlsbad. He was a chiropractor in La Jolla. He got hit by a bike. I actually heard him speak like in 2014, so I heard his story live. But he got hit by a bike, was paralyzed, and as a chiropractor, he did not want to put the metal rods that they were suggesting the surgery into his back, because he's like, the spine is supposed to be flexible. That does not sound like that's a good plan. But he was paralyzed. He couldn't walk. So he discharged himself from the hospital against medical advice, assembled a care team, and just laid in his house and fought about getting better. And he really couldn't do anything. He couldn't, and he had like good nutrients and food and nutrition, all these holistic things. But he started to visualize his spine and recreating his spine, because he knew what it looked like being a chiropractor. He had studied all this anatomy. And he found, to his surprise, that one day he actually got up and started walking again. And then he was like, holy cow, how did I do that? Like, I have to know the science. And he went back and got a PhD in neuroscience. And he learned how he was able to do that. So when people don't believe in the science, like neuroscience, energy medicine, one of the guys that wrote one of the textbooks from my PhD course, he's saying it's there. He's like, he's been a biophysicist for decades. He used to hunch over the microscope, and he's like a hardcore scientist. He's like, the science is there. They just don't have access to the research articles. They just need to know.
Yes, and so I know you're going to get into the kind of the some of the what is energy medicine, but I was sort of thinking about it in terms of like belief. Like, what if you told someone in 1865 that we would be communicating over a screen like this right now? They would have laughed you off of the wagon train, you know? I mean, they would have
1995. We saw it in movies, but we're like, no, like. I still had a telephone where you had to dial all the went
right. You think about the Pony Express. I think about, back when before there was penicillin. If you told someone you could anesthetize a certain area to work on them, they would have laughed, right? So when we look at belief, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of what of time, right? And there is a ton of research. If you want research articles around microcurrent, there's a whole library of them. So
research, it's a valid search term. My professor that designed my course, Dr. Beverly Rubik, she's the one that coined a lot of the search terms for the NIH in energy medicine, because she's also a biophysicist. So it's, like you said, it's been around and people just don't know. And then, they're quick to shoot it down, just like mind body medicine in general and psychoneuroimmunology and all these. This is an emerging science. It's new, but it's been around for a while.
Right. And it's not what we're used to being prescribed a pill. We're used to being prescribed something. And so when it looks different, when we can't see it and it looks different from the norm, we trust that an aspirin will take care of our headache. We trust that a certain medicine will do something because that's what is prescribed. So, I mean, I really see we're at the wave of the future. Like the future is now and we have it in our hands.
For sure. And it's really exciting, I think, because energy medicine is so quick and it doesn't have side effects, except for maybe sometimes you might feel like a little detox effect or whatever else, in my personal experience anyway.
Right.
But when you were saying about like pills and pharmaceuticals, it's so interesting because I like your both and thing, because I sell supplements. I take supplements. They're wonderful. In fact, I've been out of my liver supplement now for 10 days and my life just went poof, like really fast. And I was like, what happened? And I was like, oh shoot, I ran out of my liver supplement. Yeah. But it does take a couple hours to kick in at least. And then if you're talking about a pharmaceutical like antidepressants, that could take up to 3 months to really start working. It's very slow, but our bodies are made up of liquid crystals. And so it's energy, that nutritional and that substance comes in, it transmits an electrical signal. It has to go through our tissues and our liquid crystal. It takes some time, but energy, like we're talking about these microcurrent device, it's just the smallest little wave of energy creates a huge effect. That's the weird part about this science. It's really cool. And that is instantaneous. You can make an instantaneous shift. Also with hypnosis, that's what I'm doing. I'm tapping into a healing field and using my words and my rhythm and setting, using imagery, which is the molecules of emotion. Dr. Candace Pert talked about this, how you can, that emotion that you have is a chemical messenger that goes to your cells and it creates healing or healing states. So there's lots of different ways that we can shift our energy. And if we're a liquid crystal and the center of our cells is empty space, like Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about, like why wouldn't we be constantly shifting and changing and, you know, like feeling the energy around us, feeling the emotions around us, feeling the planets, you know, when the moon, gosh, I had a tough full moon the other day too. I was like, no, what? I went outside, it was so big. And I was like, no wonder. It's probably like one of those that's like closer to us.
There it is. Yep, exactly. Right. I mean, it shifts the tides. We are made of water. We are made of these liquid crystals. How would we not also feel the shift? And there is, Healy has a program for planetary protection.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dive into that a little bit. I know we've talked a little bit about the science, and what I love about the YouTubes that I tend to host is they're very circular. They're not linear and structured and bullet points.
I'm not linear.
That's not very fun. Like I've sat through way too many lectures. Like let's just have a nice
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, okay, here I am, like totally enjoying my PhD course in energy medicine. I'm like, oh my gosh, this connects everything I've ever done in my whole career. Because I started off, I healed my own depression through integrative methods like over 20 years ago. And I'm like, okay, now I got to go get credentials to learn how to help people do this. So I wanted to get a mainstream clinical license and then kind of like reject it and, and then do like holistic stuff, because this is 20 years ago and people didn't really take holistic healers seriously back then. I wanted those academic mainstream credentials so I could kind of straddle both worlds, right? So I moved to San Diego, tons of schooling later, I didn't realize, but I got a degree in marriage and family therapy. This particular degree is studying the relationship systems in a family, in a society, and it's not looking at an individual as the issue, it's looking at the relationship, and so how they all interrelate. When I started my PhD program, I did a paper on how it's similar, marriage and family therapy, and in particular Bowen family systems therapy, which is a big systems energy theory, which came out in the 50s, is similar to traditional Chinese medicine. And my best friend is an acupuncturist, so she's taught me a lot just from being friends with her. And then I took a course in whole medical systems, Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine in my PhD too. So I have some of that understanding. I'm like, wow, these energy medicine concepts explains family therapy. It explains traditional Chinese medicine, which came way before family therapy ever did. It explains why my supplements work. It explains why pharmaceuticals work, but also have a shit ton, of side effects most of the time. And and then I took a course in bioenergetics, which is kind of like understanding the energy system of the body, earthing, grounding, all of that stuff. And it totally made sense of that, because bioenergetics talks about how, with certain emotional patterns of functioning, our body starts to change. And our muscular changes, our chest will be broad, or our shoulders were, like all this crazy stuff, even facial diagnosis. And so we see how that energy that we come in as a soul, and all of our karma and all of our baggage that we bring into this lifetime actually does kind of shape our physiology in some ways. It seems to. I want to be careful because I am still a scientist here. I want to be, I don't want to be overgeneralizing or making like super big claims, but because there's genetics and all of that. But when we start to like take the bird's eye view, that's my hawk feathers, take the bird's eye view, and then
let's talk about hawks.
Okay. And then take the planetary view, and then just keep going bigger and bigger and looking at all these interconnected things. It's very exciting. So I'm sitting here looking at my computer, my mind is blowing. I've got full body chills all over, because I'm like, this is it. This is my career. This is the next phase of my career. It ties in with my dissertation on female sexuality. Orgasms are an energy, all of this, and the second chakra, and like creation energy, abundance. I'm like, whoa, like my mind is blown. And then you call me, I think the next day, and you're like, hey, Natasha, I was thinking about you. I hadn't heard from you in a while, because VeraVia had been shut down with the lockdown, along with everything else in California. And you're like, hey, I got this device. Like, I've been thinking about this. I just got acquainted with this microcurrent device. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was just reading about these microcurrent devices that you could strap onto your head and like dissolve brain tumors, or you could actually, they use them in cosmetic surgeon's office to melt body fat, like the cool sculpting and all of this stuff. I'm like, this is phenomenal. And then I'm like, there's got to be one I can buy somewhere, like a purchase, so I can use it for myself during this lockdown, because I don't know what if I have to go to the hospital, and they're not open.
Yes.
I can't go. And I'm like, so I bought a mini trampoline because my hot yoga studio closed down. So I had to get that lymph going.
Yes.
And then the Healy. So you introduced the Healy to me. I still don't fully know how it works, which is why I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, right.
And I know you know a lot more about this particular microcurrent device than I do. So I wanted to talk about that too. And what a cool synchronicity it was. So you're like, here, I'm like, it just fell right in my lap. And I have been using it. In fact, I've been using it more recently, about once or twice a day. And it makes a huge difference in just me feeling really calm and really healthy and grounded. And I am sensitive to emotions and energy and EMF and all that stuff. So it can, help that dissipate.
Yeah.
I've used it for my daughter when she had a swollen eye.
Yeah.
It went away the next day.
Yeah.
And now I hired a coach, and I'm working with a coach, and she uses the Healy. She's like, have you ever heard of the Healy? And I said, oh yeah, I have one, but she runs it on me every 2 days from a distance. So she's running Healy on me in the morning. I'm doing Healy at night. It's like, I'm just feeling big energy shifts. So very cool. But tell us what's going on. Like what's happening with the Healy, and how do you use it, and what is it doing for you?
Well, it's so interesting. The first thing I was just thinking of is how, in terms of these energy shifts, and I really gained this, these things, like you said, it's to come together, like, something, but then you read about it, you're like, yes, that. So in getting into Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, and really just seeing the parallels with the Healy, when we are kind of pulling from our own energy centers, we're sort of pulling sometimes from these lower energy centers, the ones that kind of keep us safe, like the root chakra up through the solar plexus. We're pulling from our own energy centers, right? But we have this quantum field around us. And the way I kind of relate to that is I am an intuitive coach as well. And so when I'm getting into the intuitive space or reading someone else's field, reading like their soul records, so to speak, or with their guides, we are in this field that goes beyond this physical 3 dimensions. We get into these other dimensions. So when you're working with a Healy, it's kind of working at a couple levels. One, it's working with your cells. Your cells communicate through energy. Your cells basically are energy, right? Like your cells are wrapped in energy, these little teeny, there's wrapped in energy, and they produce energy, they produce ATP. And so these very smart scientists and physicists who have studied this, and there's this whole body of people who are working on this, they figured out that we have a certain frequency for everything. Everything has a frequency. Our emotions have a frequency. So when we are vibrating in a lower emotion, I know you know this, but when we're vibrating in a lower emotion,
it never gets old.
It never gets old. Like fear, fear, hatred. I'm just saying, right? These like lower emotions. We are going to have the experiences of those lower vibrations, and our bodies, and there are studies that do show this, that our bodies are not going to be able to heal as well. The energy is not going to be able to work at its prime optimal state, right? You can imagine the Olympics are happening right now, like an Olympic swimmer who maybe just had a breakup, like who would break up with someone in the Olympics, but just so emotionally, you're not going to be at that 100%. And so you're going to probably get affected performance wise. It's just sort of like an example that I would think of. When we have these higher vibrations like love, etc., we are going to have the effect, the hormones, the chemistry in our body, we are going to be in better health. That's why things like meditation, that's why things like these mind-body things that we can do, they do help us, right? Help us. So that's sort of like a baseline with how these scientists have discovered these frequencies. And this Healy, this little device, it comes from a very expensive medical device that exists in certain practitioners' offices. A practitioner can purchase it like $100,000, have it in their office for a variety of uses. And this particular company, Time Waver, wanted their clients to be able to have it in their pocket. They wanted their practitioners to be able to say, okay, you have anxiety. I have these programs for you. I want you just to have those. You don't have to come in every day. You can have this at home. And so they designed the technology so it can just communicate with an app on your phone or on your iPad, and you can run the programs at home. That was the original, the origins of creating this device several years ago. That's why the Time Waver, they call it the Healy. So, but what happened was they decided, like, why just keep this within the small pocket of these practitioners? Let's open it up to the public. What better way than word of mouth? And that's how it became sort of like a direct sales sort of situation.
Which a lot of health products are these days.
Yeah.
There's so much science and depth behind them. You can't really.
It helps to have
a representative. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'd rather have the education and the experience through all these people. So one, it's working with our microcurrent, because we have current in our body. We have the frequencies in our body, and they've discovered these specific microcurrents for these specific situations. So like back pain, right? Anxiety, addictions, right? I mean, if it's physical, mental, emotional, there's an app for that. Like Healy has got a program. So it's very broad reaching. It's also microcurrent, so it's subtle. You know, I think about like a TENS unit, which some people have used for back pain, where you can really feel it. This is like a subtle microcurrent. And what's interesting is when you use this, there's either these wristbands, there's several ways to use it. I'm just going to show you like just real quick. So, but you might attach with these little pads, you know, you've got these little pads you can attach to your wrists. So it's attached, you know, wrist and on wrist, and it's running that through your body. And what it's doing is it is sort of bringing your cells into coherence. It's bringing, let's say you have inflammation, your cells are inflamed. Your body knows the right frequency for your cells to not be inflamed, right? Your body knows the right frequency for you to not have a headache. So when you run a program, you know, my friend who's got migraines, she swears by this. If she had this Healy for no other reason, it would be for her migraines. And that's just talking personal experience. So, you know, you run the program and it's going to send that message. It's communicating to your cells, because that's the language of our cells. It's energy, it's frequency, to that vibration. So I have seen it personally. What's the right word for it? Like neutralize a virus. I get cold sores. And I know exactly when they're going to happen, when I've had too many margaritas and I've been out in the sun. And I decided, you know, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to, there's some things that are very specific. You get the extra program. They're not very expensive. So I got the program, and I've got, trust me, I have other things I use for that, right? I've got my systems, I've got all my things, but I use that. And this is my personal experience. I literally could see it neutralize. Like, I know what that typical outcome is, like 3 weeks for that to fully go through its cycle and scab and everything. And I mean, literally within days, it just was like neutralized that within my body. So that's like one example of how it's worked for something that's viral.
Yeah, I have a question for you, and you might not know the answer to it. And like I said, I'm still learning about this particular device and how it works. But I notice for certain conditions or certain programs, there's different frequencies, like hertz. It'll say whatever, 785 hertz or whatever. Are these frequencies that they measured for, like you said, everything, illnesses vibrate at a frequency, homeopathics vibrate at a frequency, and that's how they work. They're just a small little bit, but they carry the frequency, the energy signature. Is it balancing it back to bring us back to like the Schumann resonance? Because I know that when, you know, the Schumann resonance being the heartbeat of the planet, I know when we go to the earth and we put our feet in the earth and we do earthing, that naturally starts to bring us back into resonance with the planet. And that's also the healing state. And scientists know they can measure, that's the biofield of the earth, basically. And they can measure it 100 miles, you know, outside of the crust of the earth into space, that it has this, like, the earth has this vibration. So I'm wondering, when we're, you know, what happens is we get around these Wi-Fi devices, we have stress, we're, you know, have margaritas, whatever, and we go, whoa, we go way far away from the coherence with the earth. And then we go back to the earth, you know, and we start to heal. So I wonder, is Healy like shooting the equal and opposite frequency to kind of get us into that almost like
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that specifically. If I were to sort of play it out in my mind, I might think so. But what I do know is that, when I'm looking at it, what is happening is that Healy is providing like a feedback loop. So let's say, for instance, because I have the model called the resonance, I think
I don't have it, and I'm bummed about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed out twice on that upgrade.
So a couple things about the resonance. So if let's say I'm going to scan, I'm sure your coach does this. I'm sure maybe your coach does this. Okay. So let's say I'm going to scan you. What are you most resonating with right now? And let's say for some reason you're feeling some stress or you didn't sleep well the night before. So maybe you're resonating with something like exhaustion, or maybe your immune system kind of needs a boost. It's going to give you that kind of printout of the programs that you would most resonate with. Right. And it has programs like Bach flower remedies. So for instance, these Bach flower remedies, they have a certain energy signature. They have a certain hertz. So in that situation, you're going to be getting the download to you for those. And actually, I'm pointing at my wrist as if I have those pads on. But with the resonance, we're going one step further, and we're downloading it to your energy field. So you have your own energy field. It's going to provide your energy field with that. So you're going to get the frequency for like that particular flower, right? That flower concoction. But what's happening as well is, like, if I were to get that flower remedy and you were to get that flower remedy, ours would look slightly different. Like the frequencies we would be getting, because it's like this feedback loop. Yeah. For what my body needs. Like maybe I'm less hydrated, maybe I'm more hydrated, maybe, I whatever, like the different aspects of my personal makeup versus yours. And so it's very much tailored to you. Let's say I have a headache. What I understand is that it's very specific, like for circulation, for the lungs. We go through, like, there's meridians, there's bioenergetic balance, there's the chakras, right? So when I look at those frequencies, is it bringing it? I mean, maybe it's as simple as bringing us back to the Schumann resonance, which would be amazing if it's as simple as that. But it is providing certain frequencies, like, for that area. And it is delivering it, like, to that specific area.
Yeah, who knows if it's exactly the Schumann resonance or not, but the Schumann resonance is coherence, because that is, the heartbeat of the planet. Everything on Mother Earth is vibrating kind of to that heartbeat. And when we are synchronizing with her, then we are in a healing state. And that's why, there's so many reasons why nature is healing, but that's one of them. And when I was talking or listening to this biophysicist, Dr. Jim Oshman, who wrote one of the textbooks, he was saying that even something as simple as like taking Himalayan sea salt, $1.99 at Trader Joe's, can help bring you back into resonance.
Right.
Swimming in the ocean. We're lucky enough to live here in Southern California, which is like really cold, but at least it's salty water. I prefer
the cold right now. It's pretty warm right now.
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah, right now it's okay. But like when I was in the Bahamas a couple of years ago, there's no Wi-Fi there. It's like everything's just this very small family island, and in the sun, being in the warm, salty ocean every day, like actually swimming with turtles, feet in the sand, no Wi-Fi wires, no electrical wires. I mean, there are some, but they're not entering my field. Like, I felt so good, and I was drinking rum every day. So it was like counteracting that little bit of pollution that I was putting into my body. Well, but it's just,
what's interesting too. Yeah. So, and Healy has a program called Heart Coherence. It has Heart Coherence. And that's, like you're talking about, like, we have a certain rhythm. Like when we're feeling stress, the coherence, like, of our heart rate, our heartbeat is going to kind of be like all over the place, right? And when we are in coherence with, like, who we are, like our energetic vibration, our energetic signature, like who we really be, then we get into this heart coherence. And what I've been hearing from others, from these testimonies of other people, is literally helping change. You talk about relationships, it's helping them shift. I mean, I heard someone just like in tears today, just so grateful for how it's shifted her relationship with her partner. Being able to get into that heart coherence and having a tool, like we might have many, like this Healy, that can help us to get there.
Well, and that's exactly it. I'll just throw in a little bit of astrology right now, but I have Aries South Node, Libra North Node. So I'm like so good at being alone and like individual, but yet my destiny is partnership, right? And this goes for like personal life as well as work and whatever. But what I do is I help people get really healthy, the individual get healthy so they can be in that healthy relationship.
Yes.
Right. And so that's what my purpose is. And because it totally makes sense when you when you create health in the body, whether it's through Healy or it's through supplements or, you know, doing these coaching, hypnosis, whatever these things are, then you are just more available to navigate whatever comes your way. And that coherence, like you're talking about, also is resilience, right? I mean, we both work with the vagus nerve. You're a yoga teacher, you do meditation. We're toning the vagus nerve so that whatever comes your way, you're just not frazzled. You're just like, okay, okay. But you have to practice that too.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So you can pivot. So what's so interesting is with the Healy, and like, let's say I scan a client with that resonance, with the resonance, and I scan for what are you most resonant with right now? It's so fascinating. I mean, what comes up, it's so healing because it will share in the program notes sort of the background for why you would run that program. And it might be like, we have like the father wound or feelings of abandonment. Like it gets down to the roots. I mean, Healy will get to the roots when it's looking at what you're most resonant with, kind of like you were talking about.
That only in the resonance program?
When you will be able to see those when you are working with the resonance. Yes.
Oh, it'll highlight those things.
Yeah.
My coach sends me the reports because I don't have the resonance, and it'll just say like gold cycle, 54% relevance, or like like sleep cycle, 54% relevance. And so then she'll run those programs on me because those are the ones that are popping up, but nothing like really juicy has come up yet. It's mainly like just like sleep or
it's pretty juicy. Yeah, I don't know. So when you first run it, like if I were to do that right now, when you first pull it up and start running it, it has like this whole printout. I'm not sure with the PDF that you're getting, like how much is available, or if there's two things you can, there's two areas you can run. One is an aura scan, which is going to scan like your chakra system, which can get pretty in depth. And the other is like a whole menu of options that includes like the typical Healy programs you get, and all these other ones like the Alaskan gem elixirs, the Bach flower remedies, the Australian bush flowers, like all these other areas. Like I've run Materia Medica, which is like homeopathics, for instance, right? So so you can kind of get into depth with that, but yes, there's definitely a kind of in-depth read about these things. And when I've done it, it's like it's floored clients because it's literally picking up exactly on the wound, the area, which is having them pulled kind of outside of themselves. So to your point, when we are in relationship with others, when we are feeling whole, when we are feeling complete, then we can bring that whole complete self to our relationship. When we are looking for someone else to kind of fill that void for us, then it's always going to be sort of like this imbalance, right? And we'll never really feel
addicted to love or relationship, just like substances, because we need something to help us function, but we know how to function independently on our own. It doesn't mean that we don't need other people. We're interdependent humans, creatures. We of course need communities and partnership and all that. But that we're not like can't exist without it, or can't, function.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to open my door right now because the sun is going down and it's coming in and I'm overheating.
Oh, open your door. I got a cat trying to get out. So I'm going to see how long she'll last. I'm going to drink a little water here. I'll let you open your door.
Yeah, I'm going to step away for just a second. And I think I might get some water myself.
Absolutely. There she goes. There goes the cat. While Natasha's doing this, I'm just for kicks gonna pull this other app up, which is the Healy Advisor. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's another piece you can get right now. It's the Healy Advisor. And I love this. I just got this, and basically what you can do is you can search from a database of programs that are recommended. So for instance, if I were to put in, I don't know, headaches, right? Then it's going to come up with a list of programs to run. And it's so interesting because programs come up, it's so intelligent that they make sense. The first programs that come up are like these gold cycle programs that are
Mhm.
kind of like a gentle detox and kind of like a reset for the body. Like Pure is sort of like a gentle detox.
Uh-huh.
Release is helping us to kind of release those burdens, release those things that we kind of hold on to.
I used that one this week when I realized my liver supplement was the reason why I was feeling funky. I was like, all right, we're gonna run some release here, and I am feeling better.
So let me put in liver. I'm just curious. Liver. Yeah. Okay. Liver detoxification.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, liver detox. Let's do that one. So it's coming up with balance, which is in that gold cycle. Okay. Pure, which is that detox. Care, which is sort of like a loving hug. Clean all, which is in deep cycle. So it's sort of like a little bit deeper detox. And then liver, which is in the meridian for liver. And then this is interesting because it's so intelligent. Then it goes to the spleen and pancreas. Okay. Right? And then it goes through the gallbladder, the meridian for the gallbladder, back to the liver. And then to toxins, releasing the toxins, and then to the lymph system.
I think for me, it was more, I think it was emotional and physical because I wasn't having my liver stuff to cleanse my liver. And, there's just like electropollution and pollution. And I'm used to taking it all the time. And so when it's not there, I'm like, oh, I feel yucky. I'm like, why do I feel yucky? Okay. The body. Right. Yeah. For sure. Well, that's great. And I'm just noticing now that we have some comments.
Oh, good. I can't really see. So
I know I couldn't see because it was like the screen was way down. Then I was like, oh shoot, I gotta pull that up. I'm looking at two screens at the same time. So Dr. Christine Verk is on, who I know she used to come to my bedtime meditations, and we are connected on Instagram. And she just posted yesterday that she is leaving. I think Christine, you're a nurse practitioner, and she is leaving her patients. Her last day of clinical work was yesterday because she's going to study energy medicine with Donna Eden.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Which I thought, how cool. And I said, I'm doing a thing on energy medicine tomorrow. So she's here and commented, love Dr. Dispenza. And then
Donna. She has a Healy through me. Yeah. Her name's Donna.
Oh, okay. Vana?
Yes. Donna with a D.
Okay, she's saying, I had knee pain and inflammation that bothered me on and off for a year. After several sessions with the Healy device, my pain disappeared. I know if the pain comes back, I can deal with it again. Yeah, and I know it's FDA approved for pain. And that's pretty cool. And then Christine is saying, where can I get the Healy? And Vanna's saying, I'm sure Stephanie will provide this info on how to contact her during the talk. Yeah, for sure. And after this she's saying, I love Donna Eden. I'm a Donna too. Yeah. So after this, I'm going to put up some links where you can get in touch with us. And if you're on my newsletter, natashaedwina.com, you just go there. You can sign up even right now, open up another tab or whatever, and you will get the replay of this. And then you'll see it and the links will be there. But yeah, Stephanie and I are in the same, I'm under her for this Healy.
We work together.
Right? We moved together, so you can talk to either of us.
Basically, usually it's whoever's introduced you to Healy, just find them and go. I mean, honestly, you hear people's stories and you see the shifts and understand, like, why not just just cut out all the middlemen.
Yeah,
get right to the kind of the I don't know, the meat of it, so to speak.
Well, and to be honest, like, I don't have any problem with direct sales at all. And but I don't have a lot of time to really learn another business structure right now. But I was like, totally open, like, it's no harm, no foul, whatever. And I was so excited about my Healy that I had two friends. Well, my dad bought one because he's always on the like health and wellness craze, and he got the resonance for the same price that I got mine. So I was like, let's swap, And then same with my other friend because they were running a promotion. So she also got the resonance, and she's a massage therapist and does a lot of somatic experiencing work and trauma healing. So it was good for her too. And I was surprised to see that I had made like $900 from those two people that bought. And I was like, oh, well, that helps. That's nice.
I'll tell you, it's what I found is so interesting because I feel like the Healy really has its own energy. I mean, it has its own vibration and attraction, right? And so it has definitely been a source of income for me, where I don't feel like I'm not really selling something. I'm sharing something that I really feel is very beneficial. And if people choose to try it and get on board, like Donna with her knee, you know, then great. I mean, and if someone's not quite ready, then fine. But I definitely find it to be a fairly simple business model. I mean, I don't get into too much of the complications. I just wait for the check to come in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have not learned it, but I will always go to you and be like, hey, what am I supposed to do here?
We'll figure it out together.
Yeah. But same as you, I'm not trying to like make a ton of money, but I like to have a lot of, like, if I get into some cool stuff, I want to have it available for my clients. Like already, you know, Dr. Christine saying, where can I get it? Well, let me tell you, like, contact me, because, it's like the good stuff. Like you and I, like we're into the good stuff. Like we're not gonna mess around with stuff we haven't tried or used or whatever else. And I've really been enjoying this. It's been great to have my coach using it on me. And I'll say too, like there's times where, you know, I'm like, wow, I just feel like so energized. I just got a whole bunch of work done and I'm feeling great. And then she texts me and she's like, I didn't get it like an hour before. She's like, running the Healy on you. And I was like, oh, of course. No wonder I'm feeling so good right now. Yeah. She's even running it from a distance because, you know, with energy, there's local energy, which is our biofield, our 6 feet of energy that is outside of our skin. And then the non-local, which is what you're talking about, the healing field.
Right. Yeah. And there's programs for job, there's programs for concentration. So there's programs for if you're studying, right? So there's programs for that as well. There's which I think is very interesting too, is some of the programs like just kind of like for the you know mental aspects for feeling contentment, right? So it's again kind of bringing us into coherence. And also, you know, the inventor of this device really talks about intention. So when our intention is married with this, probably like hypnosis to some degree, right? When we are in coherence with what we desire, when we're saying, I desire this, my intention is also in coherence with this, that definitely helps. And what's interesting is, like you said, you know, you can run it with the microcurrent, microfrequency kind of just, you know, attached just on the wrists. There's these little wristbands. There is this new little device called the Healy coil. So you just plug that right into the Healy. I don't have one yet, but it's providing that that frequency to your body, to your energy field, just by wearing it.
Oh, cool! Then, because I'm such a busybody.
Yeah, I know. I think that'd be a worthwhile investment. Yeah.
And then the third way, you have to like sit. I do sit and meditate with it sometimes, and those are powerful meditations. I like to use like the chakra programs, the higher chakra programs, and meditate. I'll get a lot of like insights and downloads, but a lot of times I'm just walking around the house cleaning, and I'm strapped up to the straps too.
Well, what's interesting too, actually, you can remind me, I should run this when I'm teaching meditation next.
I've been bringing it into my Friday workshops, because my Friday workshops at VeraVia, I talk about communication, I talk about relationships, I talk about energy and energy medicine. I talk about Dr. Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, all those things. I'm like, why don't I just bring the Healy in? So I've been bringing it in, I explain it, and then, get that nice energy, good energy in the room.
Right. Yeah. Because with the resonance, they call it vibrating, like the method is vibrating. And so it is like it can be at a distance because it is through the quantum field, right? So just like I might do an intuitive reading with someone, and we're just on Instagram or something. So I've never met them. It's the same idea. Like we have this sort of energy field, this grid, right? So so it works like just like your coach is running it for you, and you're experiencing these benefits. Like how
well, not only that, but she's running it for my business. And so part of what she's coaching me on is for my business. And like, you know, I have some financial trauma in my past from a horrendous divorce. And then it got reactivated with the pandemic. And so I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this. Like, let's be done with this. You know, let's not deal with this, whatever anymore. So she's clearing a lot of, and she does emotion code and body code too. So she's clearing a lot of the energy. But what she did is she took a picture. My business is in my name, Natasha Edwina. So whenever I started, I used to have a psychotherapy practice. It was Oasis of Awareness. Now that's the name of my YouTube channel. But I expanded to health and wellness in 2015 and just rebranded under my post-divorce name. And so she put that into her resonance. And so she's running now a scan on me and my business. And it's been, I feel like it's easier to get some tasks done and things are flowing, especially today was a really good energy day. And of course, she was running on.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because for the resonance, you can, so this is interesting. So, Healy works on businesses. It works on, you can even run it on your vehicle. It works on pets. It works on groups. So I have run, of course, some group meditations, like through Insight Timer, where I do some meditations too. But people also have really great experiences running it with their pets. And Healy also has pet-specific programs.
Okay, so let's talk about that right now, because I think if people don't already know about how energy medicine works, they're probably thinking we're two wackadoodles right now, talking about running these devices on our business or our pets. But I want to just pause and explain to people again that this is an energy field. And so whenever somebody enters your energy, whether that's another person, like right now, Steph and I are sharing, and all of you that are watching are sharing a non-local energy. We're together in a like invisible Zoom room up in space somewhere in consciousness, and we're all like jamming out. Like our energy through this conversation is shared. And then if Steph was sitting next to me, our local energy, our biofields would be overlapping, and we'd literally be sharing stuff. So she was feeling like rage and anger and pissed off, like I would be getting some of those vibrations just by sitting next to her, right? And so a lot of this like kind of like keeping yourself well is also for other people so that you're not sending out those negative ripples. But if your pet or your dog is living with you and they're always in your energy field, and you've got like this is a really cool thing I learned in my PhD program too, is you can have like the energy potential for cancer, or you can have the energy potential for these diseases, or kind of floating around in your aura, or you have like cracks in your aura, things like that. And when it gets dense enough, like Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, the energy and that potential of manifestation is dense enough, now it actually becomes cancer in your body. It's no longer sitting outside of you. Now it's part of your body.
Matter.
Yeah, it becomes matter. So that could also happen in your dog. Because your dog is sharing your energy, and now your dog gets the tumor instead of you, because they love you and they sit on you and they're like absorbing all of your energy. So you can run this on pets and your children, by the way. So here we go. Marriage and family therapy. My first family therapy class, they teach you children's behaviors are simply just acting out the dysfunction between the parents. If the parents they're not communicating properly, they're not getting along. Now the child gets sick, the child starts misbehaving because unconsciously they're trying to, they're feeling the disharmony and they're trying to bring those parents together. So you see how this energy travels, like in emotions and actual microcurrents. And so absolutely everything around you, even your plants, are going to be affected by
put it on plants.
Your health.
This is really interesting. So, another friend of mine who purchased a Healy through me, she runs it on her little dog who had anxiety, just like it was an anxious dog. And people would come in after she was running it on her dog, just kind of put it onto the collar and just sort of say like, who is this dog? I mean, he's acting just calm and getting along with the cat. The cat and the dog would not get along, they'd fight. And Randy Healy just for the dog and helped with that. Another person was talking about how they had rescued a dog that had been part of like a puppy mill on an Amish farm. And so that dog like was in a chicken coop and never had a mom, had never gotten to play. And so that dog was like afraid of everything, was afraid of its own shadow. So again, just helping that dog, by running Healy, people would come in and say like, what did you do? What's the dirt? And it's really just helping that dog kind of release some of that trauma. Just like we can, from our businesses, from that energy that we bring, like we are our businesses, we bring that, right? So
and also, I had a very cute little half Japanese chin, half Shih Tzu, we think, puppy. When we got her when I was pregnant with my son, and she died at age 6. And I actually ended up talking to a pet psychic because my best friend who's an acupuncturist had given me a gift certificate, and I didn't know if I'd ever use it, but I'm like, well, now is the time to know what happened. Like, I'm open to this stuff. And she said, she said all of these things, like even talked about memories that I had of the dog and my daughter, and all she described my dog to me, even though she had never met my dog. It was over the phone, right? And I was like, okay, this is very interesting. She even described, she's telling me that, people come up to her and say, you're so cute, but what are you? Which people would say all the time to her. She's like, it doesn't matter, I'm me, so she's like talking to this dog. But she said that the reason that she died so young is her body was totally overtaken. Number one, we lived in a house that had very high levels of black mold when she was really young. And we got treatment with herbs and like diet, but we didn't give her the herbal treatments because I didn't think, and the doctor didn't tell me. We were just in crisis. I don't know what I was thinking. We didn't get her treated. Again, mold is an invisible thing. You don't know how serious it really is.
Absolutely, yes.
So her organs were starting to fail, says this pet psychic. But also, she was buffering some of the toxic energy in my marriage, right? And so she was trying to protect me, and she would follow me around all the time and just absorb all of that intense energy that was coming, and it just overtook her. And so, I mean, this stuff is really real. And I think, gosh, I wish, if I had the Healy back then, like maybe I don't know, maybe she was too far gone, but maybe, done something, because she was really sweet. But that's what pets do for us. They're literally laying on us to absorb and try to, heal our energy or take it away from us.
That's probably why we feel so calm. It's kind of like the earth, and it's like earthing in a sense. That's probably why we feel so calm, and because we are sort of releasing some of that, maybe even inadvertently. So when we're aware of that, how wonderful to be able to, I guess it gives us some self-efficacy, right? Like I have some things that can help me. I'm not doing this alone. I have a therapist, I have meditation, I have a Healy that can help me with some of these aspects. Once I have the education and knowledge, then I have the tools to use to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, it's been almost an hour, so I'm wondering, I'm going to ask the folks watching, you have any questions for us? Is there anything you want to answer? Is there anything that doesn't make sense that you want us to explain in more depth? Is there, anything at all that you want to hear from us? And I do want to say, for anybody that's local to San Diego, we're just announcing this. I'm doing on August 8th, Lionsgate Portal, but it's also International Female Orgasm Day. Speaking of energy.
That's a good day.
Yeah.
I'll be celebrating that.
Yeah, right. Well, that evening in Balboa Park, I'm going to be part of a workshop. So I'm going to be doing a workshop on the female brain, female sexuality, desire cycle, arousal cycle, which is different from the males. And this is part of my dissertation research. And also talking about energy medicine, how we connect to the earth, how we connect to the body, how we look at that sexual energy. And then my friend LaDawn, who's a booty yoga instructor, and that's not like booty, but it's BUTI.
That's great.
Done it. It's so fun. It's like tribal dance. It's like plyometrics yoga. It's very active. She's going to lead us through a practice that is really about like a lot of hip circles, abundance, and just swirling and opening up those creativity portals to a live DJ who is amazing. And then I'm going to lead with a meditation afterwards on stepping into your prosperity paradigm. So it should be a really fun event. It's donation. You can donate just any amount to register. We're just trying to get people together and do something to celebrate. So anybody that's local, you're not too far if you want to come, 8/8, but just get in contact with me, natashaedwinter.com, because I'll have a registration link very shortly, but it's coming up next week. So
that's great.
In the meantime, wanted to invite folks to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not seeing any comments. Is there anything, Steph, that you feel like we left out or that you'd like to mention about?
I mean, I really just, I think for many of us, unless we're super evolved, like, there's some area, probably with health, relationships, whether it's like mental, physical, emotional, where we're looking for some kind of boost or some kind of balance. And I highly recommend trying this little device. I mean, you can try it for 14 days. If it's not for you, then you can return it. I find it highly unlikely that would happen. But what if, with this investment, once you have it, right? With this investment, things can shift, right? We can have these feelings that maybe we didn't think was possible. We thought we had to live with pain in a certain way. We thought we had to live with things taking a certain amount of time to heal, or something that's chronic, and maybe it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that Donna does have a little question down here.
Oh, you can see the comments too.
Well, I put it on my phone. I found it.
Oh, that was smart. I should tell all my co-hosts to do that. That's smart. Yeah. So go ahead and answer.
Yeah. So the Healy, so basically, when you have a Healy, there's a Healy Holistic Health Plus, you can upgrade to the resonance and you get a separate app. And the separate app is going to allow you to scan yourself or someone else for what you have the greatest resonance with. And then you can just wear this. You can just clip it to your shirt and vibe. It's called vibrating. And it's a little bit kind of more, it's quicker and maybe a little bit more intense. You can vibrate these programs to yourself like for 37 seconds. It might be a little bit longer. If it's for an organization, you might do it for a longer amount of time. But it's really beneficial because, like, let's say you have something like chronic pain, you might do this just throughout the day. And also you're just looking at, like, day to day our energy shifts. And so let's say you're in relationship with someone that, that day is going well, the next day you're kind of not vibrating, vibrating on the same level. So you can run this, it's going to run it for that day and what's going on for you particularly. So, I mean, I find it to be a huge benefit. And also, just like I was mentioning, when it has that printout of kind of the behind the scenes, like why this would be relevant, it's very eye-opening. Mm-hmm. It gets into the depths. It's gonna get into the backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And then Christine is asking, is there any data on the Healy studies? Yes. There's a particular group called Quantum Health Infinite Wealth on Facebook, and there's a whole database of research. I will send it to you, Natasha, and then feel free to also send that to Christine or to whoever else is asking. And it's not specific to the Healy, it's specific to microcurrent, microfrequency.
Yeah. And I'll say too, Christine, that there's a ton of, if you search the databases, even in Google Scholar, and you look at microcurrent devices, you look at human biofield, I'm trying to think of some of the devices there's a lot of them that are mentioned in the research.
Oh, like there's like a spooky, maybe that's the name I've seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the databases and microcurrent devices in general. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long has Healy been around, like 10 years or something like that?
Healy particularly, I think it's like 4 years, but Time Waver's been around for, at least 10 years or more.
And now I see that Dave Asprey is talking about the Hap B, which I'm assuming is kind of a similar thing to Healy.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. Yeah.
It's a microcurrent.
We're going to see just more and more of these.
Oh yeah, there's going to be different versions. But I will say this too. It took me, because they're a company out of Germany. So it did take me a while to get when I finally learned that I had money there, I was like, oh, cool. How do I get it? And so I'm trying to figure it out. And it took me the longest.
But once you have like a basic bank, it's pretty easy. If you have a credit union.
Yeah, it just wasn't, if the energy was off, like there was just a disconnect. And then, my coach starts shifting my energy, and all of a sudden, but no, you had sent me a customer service number. And I would say that the lady was so delightful that I talked to. It just warmed my heart. And I was so excited. She was so patient. And she was so excited to talk to me. I was like, is she flirting with me? I'm like, maybe they kind of like a French accent. I was like, maybe that's just how the French are. I don't know. But either way, like, I was like, what a pleasant experience.
So nice. Their customer service is so romantic.
Yeah, right. It's not, she was professional, but not business-like at all. She's like, hey, I don't even know. She called me at some point during the call, she called me some kind of pet name or whatever. And I was like,
that's so nice.
But she was really sweet.
Oh,
so
good.
And I feel like these, health and wellness companies, when it's, like you said, the intention and the alignment, that's how I feel about my nutritional product partner as well. Mm-hmm. When that attention and that energy and that alignment is there, they just attract really good people.
They do. That's what I've seen with our team and the people that are coming on board. Like, we're coming from a certain vibration. Yeah, it's definitely about the bigger picture. And the person, if you look up Marcus Schmike, who's sort of like the mastermind behind all of this, he's been a Buddhist monk. Like, he's just like a studier of how we can improve the human experience, really. Mm-hmm. So he's just devoted. Like, his life is really devoted to this work.
Yeah. And I want to say, maybe this is a good place to end too. Something that is really inspiring to me through that Dr. Bruce Lipton says, and he studies the cell. Most people who know energy have heard of him. So I won't go too into the story, but what he says is, like, when we have this new technology or this new way of being, and we are like so excited about it, whether it's the Healy or any other thing, And then you go out into the streets and you start yelling like, hey, everybody, I figured it out. Like, I've got a new solution. He's like, people are going to think you're crazy, right?
Yeah.
They're going to think you're crazy. But what you do is you use it yourself. And this is true for yoga, meditation, any of these things that used to be fringe that are more like mainstream now. You use it yourself and people notice your shift. And then now you have a friend that's going with you. And now you have another friend. And this is why I love Booty Yoga, because I go there once a week and I have a whole community and I feel so good afterwards, not just because of the exercise, but the community that, brought us together. And then communities grow and they expand. And pretty soon that small little community becomes the whole planet. That's the ideal. So this is how powerful working on yourself is. And so there's so many of us that are nurturers. You're a nurturer, Steph. I'm a nurturer. I'm sure all of you on this watching this video are nurturers or healers of some sort too, or most of you. And it can be really easy to get caught in that trap of like, I got to save them, or I got to fix this person, or I got to fix that person. But the best thing to do is to really live it, breathe it, do it yourself. And so I think with this Healy, whether you want to try one for a couple of weeks and have it just around the house, you got kids, dogs, pets, plants that need some rejuvenation, or there's one for like skin and building muscle tone too, which I thought was really cool.
Right, that's right.
Talk about anti-aging and all of that, like skin renewal, building collagen. Like that's
I'd say cool too. I'd say too, for anyone who's watching now or later, if you don't already have one, to connect with Natasha or with me if you come that route, and have us sort of walk you through it. Get on a call with us, have us kind of run something for you if you're local too, and have that experience, because that's most people who are local, someone's come with tooth pain or whatever, they've tried it, they're like, okay, yes.
To get a trial, because it's easier to just find somebody that has one and try it out. And I've offered that to folks that have contacted me on Facebook, but then I'm just like, I can't also like be scheduling all these appointments, but I'm happy to do that, every once in a while.
A scheduler for that.
A scheduler for that, yeah. But it's wonderful to be able to try that out. So thank you for reminding of that. And for anybody who's more interested, message me at Natasha, go to my website. You can email me from my website, natashaedwina.com. Once this is on the replay, there should be links in the caption. And if you have a lot of questions, if I get a lot of questions from this, we can come on and do it again. And honestly, the reason that we did this YouTube live is because I had a bunch of questions for Steph, and we're having a hard time connecting. It's like, we're both busy moms. And
here we are.
Here we are. We're like, well, once we finally connect, let's just broadcast it, because other people probably have the same questions, and then we can just direct them to the video. So I'm not trying to sell you anything right now. We're just trying to share information and let you know what some of your options are. So really happy to have you all join. Thank you for being here. And thank you so much, Steph, for making the time and bringing all of your wisdom and knowledge. And where can people contact you too, if they're interested in coaching with you or some of your offerings?
I can just go to my website, stephaniezito.com. Just put that in the notes and just find me through there.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. Good night, everyone.
Night. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.